Good morning. I'm Shannon. I'm a mom of 3 amazing kids. And this idea of this video came to me around 4 o'clock this morning. I am getting ready to jump on a plane to go home to see my family while my kids are with their dad. And there are moments in the middle of the night that I cannot sleep. And I just thought, I used to write things down. And I thought, well, I don't have time to write things down, so I'm on a video. And if it gets on some page or I decide to put it on some page, then great. If not, it's just for me. Who knows? We'll see what happens after I film this. So the back premise of this is I'm a mom of 3 kids. 2 are twins, they're 10, well, almost 11. The other one is 9. And that may seem young, but it's not, because they grow up faster than we did when we grew up for some reason. I'm not sure how that works. But the boys, and this is what it's mainly about, is my 2 boys play lacrosse. So I'm a lacrosse mom, and I'm a busy lacrosse mom, and my boys play a lot of lacrosse. Probably more than some people think is healthy. And that's because they love it. It's not because their dad and I push it on them. It's they love the sport of lacrosse. I rarely, with the younger ones sometimes maybe, rarely have to say, hey, we got to go to practice. Hey, we got to do this. They are up and ready and out usually the door and playing for all kinds of teams. And this is why I don't sleep. How do you, as a mom who is new to the sport, I live in Florida, my boys play in Florida, lacrosse is newer to Florida. We have lots of teams in South Florida, lots of places to go play, but you don't ever know like where the best place to play is. You get tons of advice from dads, you get tons of advice from coaches, you get tons of advice from online issues, and everybody wants your kid to play for them. I mean, is it a money grab? Is it because they're good? Is it, how do you know what to do in what situation? And so in my videos, I'm going to use my boys as examples. Maybe I can get some advice. Maybe it helps me walk me through my own process of where I think is best for them. G is the older boy. He plays midfield and he plays a face-off specialist. So he loves doing that. That's one of his fun things. He actually practices every day in the backyard, in the front yard, wherever he may find a field, and just drills on his own. I don't have to push him. This kid has D1 dreams, and I don't doubt that he'll be there because of the way that his work ethic is. And he has, I guess, a talent for it. He seems to do well. He plays well. He's fun to watch, and he loves it. Loves it. Watches it, studies it, reads it, all of it. My younger one, yes, he's only 9, plays attack recently. He's also played some defense, long pole defense, and I saw a kid play, this kid, in New York for a team, and he had played a position that he'd never played before, and he may have come into his own. I'm not quite sure. Again, you all are going to think I'm crazy because they're 9 and soon to be 11. They have crazy young graduation years. That's how you go about deciding where to put your kid. A team will ask you graduation year, so I never even knew my graduation year until I was getting closer to graduation. But I have a 32 and a 33 graduation year kids, so if that places you anywhere, that helps you a little bit. But both my boys play up. G plays for a regional hybrid / national team, and he plays on the 2030 team that will hopefully get a bid to the World Series this year for the first time. It is challenging because it's a new team, and there were struggles for the first season, but I think it's a growing situation. And where this team comes from in Connecticut originally, They have great roots and they seem to know what they're doing, and I have kind of like this whole trust the process. This is his team. He loves the boys he plays with. He loves the coaches, and he's had such a great time. And coaching and playing up, people don't always agree with. But I think for him at this level, it pushes him. Because when he plays with his own age and his own level, not to say that I think that he's amazing, because I do, because he's my own kid, but he's usually one of the better players on the field. And that, while that builds leadership, it doesn't push his abilities, doesn't push his knowledge. So I like him to play kind of in both situations if possible, because it allows him to grow as a leader on the field, but also to grow, and it's always best to not be the best player on the field. You will learn more by not being the best player on the field. So that's kind of the situation he has when he plays up on this particular team. His younger brother just got onto the same team at his age level, or kind of his age level, the youngest team that they have. He is going to be playing on the 32-31 team. Again, he's a 33, graduation year, so basically he's 9-10, U10, but because they'll have some 11-year-olds possibly, or for 10-year-olds on that team, he may or may not have to play up into a level. And Gavin is going to have to play up in a level. There, I said his name, I'm sorry. I can't remember to say G and H, so it's Gavin and Hayden. I'll try. Hopefully they don't care. But how do I know if I'm doing what is right for them? How do I know that they're in the right place? Because there are regional teams in South Florida that the boys can play on that just play in Florida. They can gain skill, they can have fun, but they are asking, can I play, can I try out, can I do this, work teams next? And they watch and see friends and people go to different teams. So we've tried out for new teams, which is why this regional / hybrid team, national team came about, and that's how it started. And it also allowed Hayden to come and play for them as well. The question is now, when you get invited to play for another national team, what do you do? My understanding is you cannot play for, especially if you're playing in the World Series, you can only be on one roster. So that kind of makes that decision easy. But how do you know you're on the right team? How do you know that when you pick that team, that's the right place to be? I guess those are my questions, and that's probably why I'm just putting it out here for me to walk myself through and just get it out there, because it sits in my head, and I ran it, and I ran it, and I run the scenarios over and over and over again in my head at 4 o'clock in the morning, and the sun's not even up yet, and this is why I'm doing this, because I couldn't sleep anymore. I just needed to kind of get it out there and see if what I'm saying makes sense to myself or to anyone else out there. People will probably criticize for the amount of teams that my boys may play on or may not play on, the amount of times that they play. They practice a lot. So that's not a situation where, oh, all they do is go and play in tournaments. They don't do that. They practice a ton with these teams. 18, 20 times per season, which is a lot when you go to some other national teams where all they do is practice like 2 or 3 times with clinics before tournaments and before national tournaments. So I want my boys to practice. I want them to grow. It's the only place you actually learn and grow. And you can practice, but you also have to have outside practice too, and they love doing that. They love working out with some of the people that we've found that like to work out with them. So it's not that they're just out there hitting tournaments and playing, doing that. That's not the point of why I'm asking. But how do you know what team is the right team? And it seems like, is it a money grab? Are teams asking you to play because, they're making money? It's a money-making business. They have to have some sort of income in order to maintain the team and go to the tournaments and get the equipment and get the coaches and everything else. Or do they legit want your child to play for them? You will have people reach out to you on Instagram about your kid. about playing for their team. It's a new team, you don't know much about it, in a different circuit, in a different region, in a different area. But then that comes down to travel. Being in South Florida, we have our area that we play in. And luckily we can play year round because it is warm all season. We don't have to do the whole box lacrosse, which to me just seems so dangerous, but people love it. And my boys, of course, want to play, and I'm like, no, we could play outside. But we know that better competition is typically out of the state of Florida too. You need to reach up into the Northeast or go outside of the state to see bigger and better tournaments and bigger and better competition. And we do that. We did that this summer. Both boys got to go play in New York, and G got to go play in Connecticut. So learning experiences, because we as a team did not play well. We lost a lot of games. We won some games. Is it because the competition is tougher? Maybe. Is it because we play differently in South Florida? Probably that too. Took a lot of penalties, unfortunately. I guess Floridians are a little tougher when they hit. So there's some learning experiences there. We had a young team. Do you play to win? Do you play to learn? What is the question? All of these are questions that I hope to talk about, answer, get answers. Again, I'm sure I'll receive criticism from someone out there who disagrees with the amount of times and places and tournaments we play in, or just the fact that I'm even asking this question of where should my kids play when they are 11 and 9. But this is a sport that is growing, and I see huge potential with my boys, and they love something. When you find something that your child loves, you don't necessarily want to, I guess, inhibit them from doing it. And so you want to help and go push and be where they want to be. You can't financially be there for every team. But, as their mother, I'm kind of their spokesperson, their manager, so to speak, their agent. I kind of explore the new teams and find the teams and get them out there. I'm not their coach. I do not know how to play lacrosse other than the little bit that I've picked up from watching. So I guess these are the questions that I'm asking. Like, how do you know where your kid should play and what team is best for your child before you get there, I guess is the question, because you can't know until you're there. But then you have to make these commitments before you know, basically. Or commitments are asked and said, okay, here's the team. You have 5 days to put down a deposit or order a uniform or tell us you're coming to the team. And yet you're still waiting on other teams that you've tried out for. And then there's new stipulations with every team as far as who you can and cannot play for. You don't want tournaments to overlap. You don't want practices to overlap. And yet there's times when you just feel like you're being pulled in another direction because of coaches, parents, friends. Hey, we would love to have your son play for us. And you may do well on that team, but is it the best team for your kid going forward? Just because you win and play well on that team, is it going to push your child to the next level? So again, all those questions, I'm hoping that if I just put it out there, for me, maybe somebody will watch it, maybe somebody won't. And maybe I'll keep blogging, who knows?